I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. We will be, I'm just going to ask Christina, we'll be catching up on minutes. We're going to have to do a big collection here pretty quick, right?
I think that's the one we're missing, and that actually, if somebody could do a lot of something.
That's the only one that's missing. Okay, and I think we might have,
I think they need to be posted maybe on the site, but you can have something.
okay, all right, I'll get that all together. Just thank you for that update. We'll get that squared away at the next meeting. So anyways, tonight what we're going to do is we've had SE Group submit the, I guess the final draft, or Kelsey, I guess that would be considered the final draft of the Parks and Rec. I do want to say, before we go into review, I'm going to ask the co-chair, Mr. Oldham, to take us through the 18-page document. It'll be up on the screen. But currently, so the public knows, we are out of contract with SE Group. There will be a meeting between the mayor and SE Group on Thursday to negotiate that process. And he will circle back with us and bring us up to date on that. And I have not heard anything back from ETDD. I know we were going to forward the submitted 94-page document onto SE Group, and I was asked by the mayor to hold that so he can contact Rick at ETDD, and that has not happened. So this is where we're at and what we have on the plate tonight to review. See if there's any final questions. Commissioner Satterfield has been through this with IDA, and I felt that was sufficient to take the draft up to the top of the hill, and we'll review this to see if there's any committee members have any questions or
It's
anything.
the Parks and Rec.
This would be the Parks and Rec portion of an important piece, absolutely, of how our Parks and Rec department move forward. So at this time, I'll turn it over to the co-chair.
All right.
Meeting.
Last meeting, y'all got to hear me read a nice long document. Let's hope that doesn't happen again on this one, but it might.
You did such a great job.
You did such a great job. All right, so as Chairman Dave said, we received this, what is about an 18-page document from the SE Group, from IDA, who's been our consultant helping us kind of keep everything together and tie together the land use and transportation plan. Part of SE Group's specific assignment was to create a new Parks and Rec plan to be integrated into the land use and transportation plan as part, as part of the future looking of what we as the city of Townsend want to be in the coming 10 years or whatever term this plan ends up covering. So I've scrolled down a little bit here, so just bear with me a second to get my laptop here. So there's some things that are not new from this document, some things that we have seen before, and because of that, I am going to kind of skip. I'm going to skip down until we're in new content, but the long and short of it is that this introduction just puts into more straightforward words everything I just said. This is a new Parks and Recreation plan that helps define what the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board is, and it builds the foundation for how to have broad community engagement to take Parks and Rec essentially to the next level. And as we look through this, the kind of the official points of what the next level are is clear guidance on what we're working towards, clear guidance on the structure of the Parks and Rec advisory board, as well as just the Parks and Rec physical land in town, and structure of how it gets funded, what it can do, what sort of I guess fixes or funding are needed to move forward with it. All right, so I did want to point out that There's this box about what counts as recreation here that I thought is important so that we're all know what we're talking about. So for this plan, recreation is defined broadly as anything that contributes to the quality of life for residents and visitors. This includes both physical activities and organized social or cultural pursuits. This plan supports the full spectrum of recreation in Townsend, from the parks and trails that the city manages to the community-led activities and events that people enjoy. It's about helping the community thrive in all the ways it loves to play, both formally and informally. Any questions on this setup and definition?
Ultimately, is this able to be sent to us so we can see it on our laptops?
Yeah, so it should be in your inbox now. Dave sent out some stuff before this, but things can get lost.
It's with the agenda.
I didn't, that's what was with the agenda.
Yeah,
I
that
had
was with the
trouble
agenda.
with that, so I'll go back and look.
Additionally, I am not going to read each of these again. This is something we have already approved as a committee. This is the Townsend Community Vision, and just a note that this plan is in alignment with the preserve, protect, nurture, foster, embrace, create, celebrate, and welcome mentality that the vision lays out. This is just a repetition of what's already in the land use and transportation plan that we're working on, the updated one. So, this first section is recommendations, so goals and actions. Before we read through these, I wanted to just show you the way it's broken down. So you see the word actions here, right? Action is something tangible we're trying to do, and then as we scroll down here, we'll start to see other types of recommendations for how to get there once we're through all the different actions. So let's start from the top. Number one, foster year-round community connection through recreation. Develop amenities, programs, and events that support year-round recreational opportunities for all ages, especially children, teens, and intergenerational groups, while strengthening community bonds through accessible play, organized activities, gardening, programming, and community-focused events. So, action. Develop targeted intergenerational programming. Conduct focused community engagement to understand desired recreational programs and prioritize developing initiatives that connect older and younger generations through storytelling, music, arts, history, and outdoor activities. This may include after-school programming for Townsend's children, both in public school and homeschool children, in partnerships with area nonprofit organizations. Action. Utilize existing community space. Formalize agreements for the expanded use of the Townsend Elementary School soccer field and playground for community-wide recreational programming, especially for children and teens. So that's the first section, the section on fostering year-round community connection through recreation. Is there any feedback on the two main actions there of intergenerational programming and utilizing existing spaces?
So what, you mentioned sports at the field there, where, point that back out.
Where did I see that?
Left.
The bottom on there?
Yeah.
Okay. What currently, I know there was a time in Townsend's past where there was baseball league, regular, ongoing little league, or another the ball teams down here. What, I guess, Commissioner Satterfield, what has crossed your desk as far as what could potentially be done for organized sports for the children of the town area? Any talk in your committee?
Just having a relationship with the school in general, which we are working on right now, because the Memorial Park, there's been talk about maybe utilizing the Memorial Park where it's so close to the school, for the kids to be able to do like outdoor learning. But also, I mean, I've also heard from parents at the school, because I do substitute teach there sometimes. And if their kid wants to do like organized sports, the only sport they have at the school, to my knowledge, is basketball. So if their child wants to do soccer or anything like that, they have to travel
Town, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that would be us forming some sort of relationship with the school and the city for us to maybe eventually, I mean, this is far off, but to maybe have some more opportunities for Little League stuff, and utilize what we already have. That's kind of where,
Yeah, additionally, it's just the second part of the first top here, it's partnerships with area nonprofit organizations. I mean, the city and the school could be aligned with wanting to use that field for more than just playground use during the day. And at that point, that we as a combined organization of the school system and the city of Townsend can go to Little League, can go to soccer team leagues, can go to all these places and invite them to use the field and incentivize them in that way. That's all we're like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Good point. Thanks.
It used to be, many years ago, that the school provided the gymnasium for community access for basketball. And that was several evenings a week, and it worked out really well. The kids came and played, and the old people, I'm old now, wasn't old then, I would go and play, but there was some older people there that played. It was available. Then the school kind of tightened up the reins on everything, and that all kind of ceased. Well, I don't know why. So that's something that was very beneficial to the community, brought the community together. When they redid the fields up here, you know, the city bought the park to allow for the septic so that they could preserve the football fields. When they did that, we have no Little League baseball here because there's only one field. They failed to keep the second field. And that was short-sighted on the part of planners. But had we had two fields, still room to do that someday, we could host Little Leagues, games, but you gotta have at least two fields. So that killed that, but that's definitely needs to be on our radar for going forward, I
Well,
think.
absolutely, and thinking to invest in the youth of the community so we can keep our elementary school organized sports are definitely a plus. When I first moved here, I was one of the kids that went up there to play basketball against your son, and they weren't out because they were a little bit younger than me. But that was nice it was a great meeting spot, great meeting area. I do know we use the school field for me and my grandson. He comes up and practices up there, but there's two baseball diamonds there still, one in one corner, one in the other, along with the football field.
And they didn't make them quite the right size to fit two in there for Little League, but
Yeah.
it could be done, and then the backdrop be put back and everything, so, yeah.
I think it's probably really close. It's something really to foster the youth of the community, which would be important, especially in our land use transportation. Right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Christina, you have something?
Well, yeah, I keep hearing youth, but really I'm thinking seniors or even just, adults too. I think that that's very important if we could have some sort of senior programs, because that's mostly what's here. And like Sandy was saying, I think that's a great idea, the basketball or something like that. Maybe anyway, just to have some sort of activities for maybe adults.
And that's what intergenerational groups.
I see that.
Young people, everybody, people.
Yeah, I see that, but we seem to be focusing on kids.
Yeah, I think we Parks and Rec has done a pretty good job in the last couple,
Yeah.
maybe it's been years now, last couple of years.
Good
Bingo and different things that do start bringing the community together and can be intergenerational, but seem to be populated by a bit of an older demographic and focusing on the young people is always a winning
Well, I believe that,
conversation.
of course, but I think it should be both.
so we are, sorry, can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll say this during city council or not, but November the 5th, we are having a workshop with Parks and Rec Board because we have a new board member, her name's Donna, and Penny McIntosh are also on the board now. They are really good with like senior programming. That's something that they're used to doing. So we're going to talk about that to try to implement more senior activities for Townsend. So that's kind of a jumping off point. But when we were doing the focus groups for the community plan, it was brought up some intergenerational programming, like for example, maybe the Townsend Artisan Guild might want to do some sort of craft or program with the kids that go to the Townsend Elementary School, and it'd be like an after-school thing where they might go there, they might come here, and it kind kind of be streamlined through Parks and Rec. But having partnerships like that, that's what we were talking about, like intergenerational, like the Townsend River Walk where they do, and the Tuckahoe Garden Club. Having our kids and in that age group, having seniors and children do stuff together was kind of our goal.
That's very cool.
Awesome.
Great, all right, so I'm gonna read a few sections and we're gonna comment on this, so we're never gonna get through this. All right, number 2, activate underutilized and aging assets. Strategically optimize the use of existing city-owned recreational assets like the Gene Hedrick Moser Memorial Park and Special People's Park, transforming them into vibrant, accessible community hubs for residents and visitors alike. Action, expedite Special People's Park universal access. Prioritize the comprehensive redesign and reopening of Special People's Park, focusing on replacing the pier ramp with flood-resilient, universally accessible materials and ensuring accessible parking and restroom facilities, acknowledging potential in EPA review. Action, repair and preserve historic bridge. Develop a clear strategy and secure funding for the repair of the Dark Island Swinging Bridge, actively collaborating with Blount County and investigating historic preservation grant opportunities. Action, transform Memorial Park into a community hub. Redesign the Gene Hedrick Moser Memorial Park to be more inviting and utilized by residents. Considering new access points from the elementary school, adding a playground and enhancing picnic shelter. Remediating the pond and improving park signage to establish it as a dedicated community space. The City Advisory Board should conduct a master planning process for the park and then take a phased approach to ensure steady progress. Ongoing work and vision for Memorial Park. The Gene Hedrick Moser Memorial Park will be a quiet and natural retreat for residents and visitors alike, thoughtfully integrated with the surrounding residential neighborhood and elementary school. By prioritizing key features like peaceful spaces with natural seating, meandering paths, and a revitalized pond with a focal point, the park will highlight its beautiful rolling hills and mature trees. The pavilion and barn will be reimagined as multi-purpose spaces for community gatherings, and a natural amphitheater will serve as an outdoor classroom for the adjacent school. This future will be realized through a phased approach, prioritizing projects and securing essential partnerships and volunteer efforts to ensure the park's long-term sustainability. As we go through this document, there is a section where we talk about like the committees and the groups that will build up this process and guide this. So for this section, is there any feedback on the realistically like the using the things we already have and making them better, or just making them useful?
The one thing that I think, and it may not be appropriate right here, the outdoor classroom, have you just got, am I not loud enough? You can hear me, can't you, Jeff?
I just want you on the YouTube channel.
The school, oh gosh.
You're getting recorded.
Now I'm afraid to speak. The elementary school,
That's not you.
and Kiwanis Club.
Yes.
We had worked and got several $1,000s toward that. And then at the end of last school year, they came up with this aluminum cardboard.
Yeah.
That was just, whatever. Okay, so.
I know how you feel about it.
Oh gosh, have you talked to the school to know that this can be a part of their plan using the park facilities, and then Kiwanis could help with that and
Yes.
feel much better?
Yes, I had a conversation with the new principal, Ms. Ivins, and also with Julie Conkle from Blount County School and Conservation, because she has a class at Maryville College and she works for Blount County, but she also facilitates that connection between city, municipalities and schools so that they can use adjacent parks like we've got. We just have to form some sort of an agreement, and then Julie can help facilitate that. She can also teach the teachers on how to do outdoor learning at the park.
And
Okay.
Sandy, there's also a section in here that details like the acceptance of outside gifts and other financial things to ensure that either the city or a 501c3 can receive those funds and apply it to
Okay, good.
whatever the work is. Okay. All right, number 3, improve connectivity and safety. Enhance walkability and bikeability throughout Townsend, particularly along the Highway 321 corridor and connecting to the Greenway by improving lighting, signage, and designated crossings. Action, collaborate on the TDOT corridor study of Highway 321. The advisory board should provide input and feedback where possible on the TDOT corridor study to advocate for reduced vehicle speeds and improved pedestrian and bicycle safety through Townsend. This may look like improved crossings, expanded sidewalks, and pedestrian infrastructure, expanded bike lanes, and included multi-use paths. Action, improve lighting and wayfinding signage along 321. Implement standardized human scale lighting and wayfinding signage along Highway 321 and multi-use paths, Townsend Greenway, and throughout the area. This has the potential to improve safety, pedestrian and bicycle activities, and visitor experience. So just to summarize what that is, essentially that is saying, work with TDOT to make the path better, and then additionally, this plan is saying that we support signage, additional lighting, and additional general access to pedestrians, whether they be bicyclists or walkers and runners, throughout our various sidewalks and greenway paths, whether that be night or day.
What is human scale lighting?
I think it's the difference of like having, so you can see the green poles out here, the ones over the path that come down that are our size versus the ones that are on the power poles that are meant to illuminate like corners and such.
Low level.
Yeah, so I think that verbiage is meant to live within the black, the dark skies initiative where all light is facing down and it's a smaller footprint than street lights. Local recreation economy. Outdoor recreation is a cornerstone of Townsend's local economy. The city should foster recreation initiatives that encourage sustainable tourism and provide year-round employment opportunities, addressing needs for economic growth and support. Action, increase communication between recreation businesses and local government. Increase outreach and communication with local outdoor recreation businesses to better understand potential barriers to Townsend's economic growth. Encourage business owner participation in the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to improve lines of communication and trust within the business community of the city. Action, local business partnerships for amenities and programs. Actively engage Townsend's river outfitters, bicycle rentals, and other recreation-related businesses to explore partnerships for shared equipment, program sponsorships, or facility enhancements. Work with event organizers and local businesses to explore opportunities for new, locally driven events. So they're just those two for that section. So this is the intersection of the recreation economy and the city of Townsend, advocating for increased communication as well as potential partnerships, whether that looks like a sponsorship of X or just having a business provide equipment for the community on a certain day. Any feedback or massaging of the language here that we're looking for?
Commissioner Satterfield, let me address this way. The Houston School, just a little bit, where I can see the signs and stuff. There you go, thanks, they're down, yes. I know you've done some research on the current signage that exists on the lower end, as far as Native American digs and occupation and stuff down there. I know they've been there for a while. I know we don't have any up on this upper end. Does your committee currently have initiative in the what might look like that roof board there, up and down? I can tell you this, being involved in special event community, large majority of the folks that come in, especially to the events that happen 2 or 3 days, are utilizing bike trails the population is increasing tremendously. And I can see that as a tremendous value. Like the co-chair said, creating the bridge between the business community and the community that uses the bike trail, in sponsorship. What have you guys discussed anything of that nature or looked into it?
We actually
Maybe the city
discussed,
manager.
I'm sorry.
Maybe the city manager has a comment. He's leaned over like he did.
Well,
Right, he looked like he wanted to say something.
no, the wheels are turning, obviously.
Yeah.
The last month passed the occupancy tax, and that's something that for tourism that the dollar can be spent to upgrade the bike trail, to have signs like that, to have the boards like that. So that's just where I was going as far as city funds right now really don't have that, we're having trouble maintaining it as it is.
Yeah.
But I think going forward, we may have some opportunities there to invest in things like this.
We did a sponsorship deal with the benches at some level, if I'm not mistaken, with Parks and Rec. And those could look, though that might look to me a little Gatlinburg-esque, it still would identify certain points, especially historically along the bike trail, that would really help our tourism base understand the history of Townsend, and I'm a big advocate for that.
I do know that the Heritage Center was working, because those original signs that are there were put up
Or put it on here.
by the Heritage Center. There was talk several years ago about refurbishing those, so that might be a really good.
A wrap-up plan to work with them
Yeah.
for those and increase on this other in Townsend.
Absolutely.
Any other comments?
Well, the biggest conversation we had at the Parks and Rec meeting this month was safety along the bike trail, because we get so many people from out of town that just hop on an e-bike. They might not realize how fast they can go. And Mark from the River Walk and Arboretum was concerned about, there's children down there playing because they've done such a fabulous job down there.
Yeah.
And just kind of working with like the e-bike rental places to make sure that they're educating their people. And so we need further signage on the bike trail. We need signage for safety reasons, top priority, but also maybe some more signage for, like you said, refurbishing those.
Yeah. So, Co-Chair, in your comments here, do you see the language acceptable to move that conversation forward? Or is there anything that needs to be added?
No, it's acceptable.
Okay.
Kelsey, you advocated for a bike lane on 321, is that what I heard?
What?
That's a joke, strike that.
I was wondering what you're, I saw you laughing there, okay, was that directed at?
Well, it's just a safety thing right now though, because there's 3 classes of e-bikes on there. You've got class 1, class 2, class 3.
Yeah.
And they can go up to 28 miles an hour on a class 3 bike.
Wow.
And are those allowed on our bike trail?
Right now they are.
You need to change the laws really quick before somebody gets wiped out. Get that bike trail on the highway for those high speed.
Yeah.
It's just,
What is the rule on that? Because it says no motorized vehicles. Is that not motorized?
Yeah, so, we had to do that in an HOA I'm involved in. It was electric motors only at my weekend house, and then all of a sudden, electric motors can now provide a little personal watercraft that does 35 miles an hour. So we actually just put up speed limit signs. And we talked with an insurance company, and they said that was the way to solve that problem. So that speed limit sign on the bike trail probably is a quick fix, city manager.
Do the
as far as
bikes
control.
have an odometer on it? Or does it
Uh,
have astronomical?
Probably not, but I think when you put up something that says 5 or 10 miles an hour, I think people can kind of judge, hey, I might be going a little too fast. Any comments?
Electric bikes tell you how fast they're going.
Oh, they do, okay.
And the 3 different classes, class 3 being, but an electric bicycle, to be an electric bicycle, it has to have pedals to be propelled, so it can't just be a throttle.
Yeah.
If y'all looked at these things, we rode them when we were in Alaska, they're awesome. I mean, especially if you're like me, you're not
Oh,
in the
yeah.
shape of the world, you can really move around on them, which that's the problem, right? You have people who may not be used to a bicycle now can get around, so they're a great opportunity for some folks. But if you look at them, it's hard for us to tell sometimes. The only way to tell most of the time is by the battery, but they've got where they really hide that battery really well in the frame, because your motor is in the pedals, or it's going to be on the rear hub. So it's really hard to tell. So enforcing is an issue too. And then also, a lot of people that are using them are older people that have become very popular because you're still riding a bike, you're still getting exercise, but you're getting a little help as well. So it's a complicated issue. But we can ban the class 3s, to your point. Not everyone goes 28 miles an hour on them. That's why they rank them different classes.
I
Would
think
it be too much of a safety hazard to put like rumble strips or speed bumps before those highly trafficked areas where the kids are?
You put signage, some have to look at when you start doing that, you are introducing hazards, you are introducing more maintenance that is just not taken care of. So at the county, I came up through risk management. So one of the things in risk management, like if you post a speed limit, let's say we post a speed limit down there, how are you going to enforce that?
Yeah.
Well, now, if you know that you have people that are breaking that speed limit and somebody's injured on there, under the Tennessee Tort Liability Act, the city now becomes liable.
Wow.
So it's kind of catch-22 sometimes. Where signage can be a deterrent, hey, we don't want you going over this, but then it can also get us into trouble. So it's,
Well, you can do informative, watch your speed or watch out for others. There's probably a different way. I just want to make sure that the text and the document reflects the need of the community. And, co-chair is in agreement, and it looks like he does.
Okay. Number 5, leverage natural advantages. Capitalize on Townsend's unique natural setting and proximity to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, Cades Cove, and local waterways by promoting activities like fly fishing, kayaking, tubing, diverse trail use, hiking, and cycling. Action. Explore and manage river access and recreation. Investigate opportunities for improved, safe, and managed public access to the Little River for activities like fishing, swimming, kayaking, and tubing, acknowledging its value for both local and visitors. Action, dark skies and conservation. Explore what it would take for Townsend to become a certified dark skies community and integrate conservation priorities, reducing human interactions into recreation planning, leveraging the town's natural setting. The International Dark Skies Program. A town, city, or municipality can become a certified dark skies community through the implementation and enforcement of quality of lighting policies, dark sky education, and citizen support of the ideal of dark skies. There are 40 total dark sky certified communities throughout the country, predominantly concentrated in the western United States. Many are National Park Gateway communities. To qualify for certification, the community must write and adopt a lighting policy, hold night sky outreach events for residents and visitors, and conduct night sky quality monitoring several times a year. There are no night sky quality requirements for a community. However, the community must retrofit all publicly owned lighting within 5 years and encourage public-private entities to do the same. Action. Expand stewardship of natural assets. Work with regional conservation organizations to implement regular and transparent water quality monitoring initiatives on the Little River. Organize annual river trail and roadway trash cleanups. So that's the section on leverage natural advantages. So basically, manage access to the river and the park, dark skies, and then collaborate on the stewardship of the river. The dark skies is in the existing land use and transportation plan, so this is not a new introduction, and it's something that's been championed by which commissioners champion that? Pat and Becky, usually.
Sounds.
I think that's right. And then it's, and I think we all agree on the stewardship of natural assets and in general just protection of our national environment.
So a quick look, co-chair, just dark sky cities in the U.S. The bulk of what I'm seeing is cities that are next to national parks.
Yeah, and I think the 4 they have listed in this blurry image here are all adjacent to national parks in one way or another. Okay, anything else on that? I mean,
That looks good.
Okay. All right, so this is the section on partnerships, and I mentioned this earlier. This is the one that kind of connects everything together to make it where or to suggest that the city and the Parks and Rec Advisory Board are working with local and regional partners to expand partnerships. Leveraging local and regional partnerships is essential to achieving goals given the limited capacity of the Volunteer Parks and Recreation Advisory Board and city staff. Strong partnerships create more community buy-in and creative problem solving. Leverage regional expertise from ETDD and Design Center. Leverage the Eastern Tennessee Development District's ETDD planning expertise and the Eastern Tennessee Design Center for design concepts, feasibility studies, and guidance on navigating review and permitting processes. Action. Collaborate with Blount County on shared assets. Forge stronger working relationships with Blount County officials for joint funding and maintenance strategies for shared recreation assets such as the Dark Island Swimming Bridge. Partner with businesses and event organizers. Actively engage Townsend's outdoor recreation businesses and event organizers provide support where necessary to develop shared goals. Provide more consistent organizational support for established events like the Dancing Bear Bicycle Bash, Synchronous Fireflies, Hot Air Balloon Festival, and Jeep Festivals. Action. Collaborate with local and regional organizations. Establish and maintain strong relationships with the Riverwalk and Arboretum, the Little River Watershed Association, Keep One Beautiful, Little River Railroad Museum, Great Smoky Mountain Heritage Center, Tremont, the Townsend Elementary School, Tuckaleechee Garden Club, and other regional organizations to expand the advisory board's capacity to recruit volunteers and plan events. Work with partners to establish shared goals, apply for grants, and execute projects. Action. Collaborate with private landowners. Work closely with private landowners who may be interested in providing public recreational access to their property, or with landowners who are interested in selling or giving land to the town for parks or recreational purposes. Establish a pathway to evaluate the feasibility of private land donations or sales. All right. So this is the expand partnerships section. I have a few comments on this. Does anybody else want to call anything out before I continue talking?
So partner with businesses and event organizers, how would they be doing that? How would they be providing support, providing consistent organizational support?
Well, I mean, once again, I don't think we're really here to tell how, talk about that a few times, but I think that the idea is, and could be as simple as, the city is promoting recreational activities that maybe like a 5K, right? And so like if there's just an example, this is not all encompassing, but like if there are races that want to happen through here that are athletic in nature, maybe that's something that the city almost carte blanche approves and wants to help. Maybe not, I don't know. Maybe it's something like where there's a bicycle shop that wants to open up, and that's an approved type of business that we want to do. I don't know. This is basically all this is saying is that the city of Townsend would be amenable to working with people, businesses, or any events that are recreational in nature. And it's a broad definition of recreation. Recreation can be public knitting. It can be underwater basketball. It can be really anything that is done as a group for fun.
And the city can partner with them, police protection when available, or, the maintenance people doing whatever.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Those old ways, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I think 100 ways to skin that animal. I will note that on the top right corner here, the partner with businesses and event organizers, this is a list that SE Group came up with, and I want to say the basis of almost all of it is something that's funded by our current tourism board in Bluff County. So like Dancing Bear Bike Bash, the access to the Fireflies, the Hot Air Balloon Festival, and most of the bigger Jeep festivals have tourism dollars behind them. And so these are things that are driving our tourism recreation, whereas a lot of the previous sections were talking about local recreation. And so I bring that up because the very first paragraph of this document that we read about the definition of recreation, it's not just local recreation, it's also the folks that happen to be in town for tourism in one way or another. And that also kind of ties to city manager's point about future city lodging tax that will have to be used towards tourism. And so we're hopefully laying the groundwork where a mutually beneficial use of tourism dollars would be to promote recreation for our community members while drawing people from over 50 miles away into this town for the assets that we've created because they are excellent. There's really only one section in this document that I had specifically asked for Ida to add to it, and it was this bottom right one. This is the collaborate with private landowners. So in my mind, this is the single most important future of Townsend piece we have in here. This is for giving Townsend, the city of Townsend, the commissioners, the idea to go ahead and start making a process for ways people can donate their land to the city and what it means for both the person and the city when that happens. There's, back in 2020 or 21, there was land that the city could not accept from a group of businesses because there was no Parks and Rec board at that time. There was no Parks and Rec master plan at that time. And because of that, the funds that were going to be required to essentially administer that land once the city had it were unavailable to the city. And so if you want to trace the origins of the Community Planning Advisory Committee, you can almost trace it back to that initial inability to transfer land when it was clear that it would benefit the city couldn't take it. And so this last action here is one that I think is a potential to be a game changer, as we all know we're limited in what land the city currently owns and administers. So just want to call that out there, and if I see if there's any other thoughts on that one, but also any of these other topics here.
Oh, I think that's a good point, Co-Chair, is I think to upgrade the plan is to eliminate some of the roadblocks and have that language in there. So I think you're right, Scott.
Okay, I'm gonna see what's next. Okay, so another action section. All right, so we're starting to get into structure, improve organizational structure and mandate. As a volunteer board, the Parks and Recreational Advisory Board has limited capacity. However, with clear organizational structures and an empowering mandate from City Council, it has the potential to accomplish many large goals. Action. Dedicated city staff liaison. Secure consistent dedicated staff time in the city's Public Works Maintenance Department or an assigned liaison to support the Parks and Recreation Committee's administrative and project implementation needs, addressing the current lack of organizational support. Formalized volunteer program. Establish a system for recruiting, training, and retaining volunteers, recognizing the crucial role in both project implementation and program delivery, leveraging their labor towards potential grant matches. Grant funding identification and management. Establish a clear process of potentially identifying a dedicated point person, staff or volunteer with specific expertise for researching, applying for, and managing grants, utilizing the grant development strategy and opportunities. A grant research and writing subcommittee may also be useful to share the responsibility and workshop grant writing. Public awareness and communication channels. Develop improved internal and external communication strategies to inform residents and visitors about available parks, programs, and opportunities, ensuring the committee's work is well known and appreciated. Action. Delegate through subcommittee and point people. Delegation to existing advisory board members through identifying point people in subcommittees will help the advisory board work more efficiently by dividing complex tasks into focused areas. This structure fosters deeper expertise, ensures clear accountability, and enables more effective project management. It also encourages broader member engagement by allowing volunteers to contribute according to their interests and strengths, ultimately leading to better outcomes and stronger community partnerships based on stated goals. The advisory board should prioritize developing the following 3 subcommittees made of existing advisory board members and new volunteers: a Special People's Park Revitalization Committee, Grant Research and Writing Committee, Community Programs and Engagement Committee. See the subcommittee strategy and potential point people resource below for suggested topic areas for future subcommittees and point people. All right, I'm going to have to scroll this up. It's getting real blurry down here. Action. Update advisory board bylaws. The advisory board should consider updating its bylaws and adding elements regarding semi-regular updates to City Council to inform them about ongoing projects and initiatives, to clarify expectations around annual budgets. As a note, this grant funding identification, that there is a whole section below to talk about that, so let's skip the procedure of that yet, and we can address it further. Anything else about improved organizational structure and mandate?
Oh, go ahead, Sandy.
Well, I was just going to ask
No,
Ms.
go ahead.
Kelsey if the Parks and Rec Committee has thought about another name for the Special People's Park.
That has been discussed.
Okay.
I talked to some people, they want to keep it, some of them don't, but that's something that I think we're gonna maybe explore, with CEC as they're designing the park when we start public input sessions. When they start doing those, I think we're gonna do 1 or 2 of those.
Crowdsourcing your name.
We'll get
or
feedback
potential
from the
one.
public on that.
Okay.
I'm good with Chris.
Cool, all right, well, so we're about halfway through the total document here, but I want to note that we're about to get into resources section and also a structure of committee and subcommittees for Parks and Rec. This is, call it no longer the section where SE Group and IDA have taken information to the community and digested it and then put it out in the world for us to review. We're now entering this is their expertise, kind of telling us what the resources are to be best and what the best case scenario structures are. And so we can approach this in a few different ways. I would suggest, and I want your feedback on not reading this line by line so that we can get through it, because it's really dense and it's very specific about committee 1, committee 2, what we're looking at. And then with these resources, these are not opinions. These are just facts. These are resources. And so I'm gonna hover on these screens here and just read the headlines here. And if any ones we want to dive into, we can go from there. Is that cool?
Yeah, Commissioner Safford, if you have a comment with your review,
Yeah.
please inject it.
All right, so best practices for recreation projects. Universal design and accessibility first. Context-sensitive design. Integrated multi-use planning. Flood-resilient infrastructure. Phased implementation strategy. Active community engagement cycles. Cross-departmental collaboration. And data-driven decision-making. Are any of these topics something that you guys want to dive into a little bit deeper? Y'all see anything for you?
No.
Okay, and I will note that we're not approving this today, guys. Our committee, we're reviewing this, and then when we go to approve out of this project, the whole updated packet, that's really when we're approving this. So there is time for updates on this if you want to review it, your stuff after this. Grant development strategy. So this what was referenced above. So here are tips and tricks. Prioritize universal access and connectivity grants. Target capacity and planning grants. Leverage historical preservation funding. Pursue community development and placemaking grants. Develop shovel-ready project pipeline. Secure matching funds strategically. Cultivate funder relationships early. Tell Townsend's compelling story, and maintain and monitor grant opportunities, resources. Any questions on this? I think the main question is, do we have a grant writer that knows the game?
So I actually have somebody from East Tennessee Development. His name's Chris. He's actually helped me with a couple, although we weren't approved or asked to do a full application. We did go for a couple with Tpac, but because we didn't have this plan in place yet, I think that's the reason why it didn't go forward. So.
Good. Let's get this in place then.
Okay.
Parks and Recreation Advisory Board founding documents. These are things that exist or in the works of existing. City of Townsend Charter and Ordinances, Townsend Comprehensive Plan, including the current one and all subsequent updates. The Townsend Parks and Recreation Board bylaws and mission and vision statements. The Tennessee Code annotated. Recreation Asset Inventory Report. Community Focus Group summaries. TDOT corridor study materials, Blount County Parks and Recreation Plans documents. So this is really just a list of the founding documents, not really something for us to adjudicate. All right, so here's the section about subcommittee strategy and potential roles. This is actually the one that I would prefer to skip here. Looking at the time and the pages, it's Parks and Rec, Advisory Board, and then these different subcommittees. What I will do is essentially read out the subcommittees as this is being proposed, and then let everybody in the group look at this afterwards.
Yeah, Co-Chair, what we can do is we can actually extend part of this to our next meeting and just review it on a line on the agenda, just so if any committee members have something they pick up in their personal time.
Okay, so the important part of this are the cross-cutting roles here on the advisory board. So a committee chair, which is really the primary liaison and really the leader of the advisory board. Secretary and communication specialist, and then the volunteer coordinator. All of those roles were ones that have been called out previously in this document. And so here are potential subcommittees. So a subcommittee for the Special People's Park revitalization, a subcommittee for the Memorial Park activation, and then a subcommittee for connectivity and wayfinding. All, once again, things that have been outlined above as actions. A subcommittee for grant and research, a subcommittee for programming and events, a subcommittee for maintenance and operations, a subcommittee for business and community partnership, and a subcommittee for historic assets and conservation. I can pause here. Are there any subcommittees that were not listed on here? I will say that this is, in the conversations that we've had with Ida over the last months, this was the section that I felt was the stickiest, the one that was most difficult for me to digest, just by the sheer number of people it requires to operate. So we are suggesting that these are nice to haves, not necessary to have. And that's, I think, an important distinction of kind of like, we can handle, business and community partnerships without a subcommittee if we have to, right? We can do all of this if we have to without these. These are just nice to haves. Okay. How do we want to approach this section? So worksheets and tools. I'm just going to read the first paragraph here. To improve project management efficiency, effectiveness, and standardization, the advisory board could develop some of the following worksheets and tools. These worksheets and tools do not need to be complicated. Often simpler is better. An example of 3 highlighted worksheets and tools are included on the following page. So this is once again another best practices.
Is this a could develop city manager directed?
Yeah, totally.
That's the way it looks to me.
So these are all, whether they're at the very bottom of a grant pre-application checklist, in the middle of the page, what sort of concept worksheet is there? Do we have something that defines ideas before we present them to grant or present them to the group? Do we have a lessons learned, sheet? These are just templates that can be useful to ensuring that we don't start from nothing during every conversation.
I thought that was a typo. What is OREC? Tennessee OREC? Because I've seen it more than once in here.
I'll defer.
On the grant pre-application, because I've seen it a couple times. I thought it was just a typo, but.
I feel like that should be TDEC instead of OREC.
That
Is
sounds.
that wrong?
Yeah, I have no idea.
No, I
Is that
don't
something?
think so.
Outdoor recreation.
Oh, yeah, outdoor
I mean,
recreation
yeah.
probably.
It may be,
Yeah.
But that's still under TDEC.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Tennessee Office of Outdoor Recreation.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
Tennessee
So-
Outdoor Recreation.
And so here are the examples of a couple of those forms.
Yeah, OREC, it is a thing.
This pretty much finishes us out here. So lessons learned, what look like it, yeah. Project concept worksheet, who will it serve, what's it look like to the partners, and then the grant development checklist. And to be honest, this was one of the grant development guidance was one of the main things that Ida kind of brings to the table for us. And so I'm pleased to see a 3 of 18 pages basically dedicated to grant funding and trying to find it. I did it. That's it. Okay, so we've gone through this new document for the draft recreation plan for the city of Townsend. At a high level, do we have anything that we believe is included that shouldn't be, or that is not included that you are, thinking about in your head that we need to bring up now?
Well, I mentioned what I'd like to see on the first page with the adult recreation.
The recreation, is there a separate section going to be for historic preservation, historic interpretation, and then is it a different?
Yeah, there's a whole,
Actually, a couple
Yeah.
of them in there, yeah.
Okay.
It's funny, the things that they came up with for Townsend, from Townsend input, and then the way it was presented, her stuff.
Yeah.
You could definitely see the difference, but yet helpful to us to kind of use as guideline, as long as we understand that you don't have to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, we've technically been embracing a dark skies initiative in Townsend for almost 25 years. And, it's never officially passed, never done this, but there's always been an ethos that that's what it is. And so it's.
And that makes me wonder, I mean, have we tried to pass? Have there been applications to get the town certified as that, or is it just a good idea?
Well, I think, that's a great point, Logan. Calling ourselves something and actually becoming something are two different items. So that's what we're hoping, that this plan has a little bit more engine to it, in cooperation with obviously the city government here too.
But in the end, we have no say on whether or not something actually becomes.
There's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of could, may, he talked about all the different committees there, but it could, should committees or something like that. So you make the suggestions, you have to make sure the language is in there, and that then once it goes to the city and the city manager, that what we've done matters to them and helps them, gets them, like you just say, hey, look, yeah, it is time to pass the city dark sky initiative.
Yeah, I mean, because
Get it registered.
in the end, I mean, once this is all done, it ends up not just falling back on the 5 or 7 people of this committee to continue to advocate for this, but we've included, Commissioner Satterfield throughout this entire process, Mayor Prater throughout this entire process. We, have a new city manager over here. Really the world's our oyster in terms of what we can do and how we can approach this. And while we are here to organize and then present the thoughts and the wishes of the town, we're not the ones implementing them. And once we are done, it's up to us to continue to advocate for the ones that we hold personal to ourselves and to the ones that we will really want to push forward. And so that's our goal here, is to organize for now, and then to help translate this document as the various elected or appointed government bodies think about it.
Great point, Co-Chair. It actually empowers, because we're citizens of this community, it actually empowers us to hold our city government accountable to this document. And I think that's right with Justin. Great job. I appreciate your commitment to what you're doing, Co-Chair. Thank everybody on this committee. We've been at it quite a while now, several months, a couple months, and I can see us rounding the corner once a few items by the mayor or cross some T's and dot some I's if we get to that point where we can wrap this up. I think I'm really excited at what this is going to bring to the community, knowing that there's been a lot of community input. I do wish out, if you're watching out there in YouTube land, that we would love to have more attendance and some more community input while we're bringing this home. But I do appreciate the people that do come. And I'd like to open it up for the good of the community. If there's any comments from the public, you're welcome to come and make any final comments. We always want to make sure all the hearts and minds are clear. Community members, any last minute comments?
I have one comment.
Absolutely.
And it is quite simply that I'm ready to be done with this thing. And I'm ready to get this thing published. And so, we all give our time on here, but this is coming on in almost 2 years for us. And so I would just say that I'm ready to get this thing done.
Did you say, Dave, in the beginning that we are out of contract with?
We're out of contract.
What does that mean?
So that means that the contract had a date. It was dated.
Okay.
So, my conversation, I'm aware of that recently, within the last week, and contacted the mayor. And what we have to work out is there's a couple months that
I felt we had some other things going on, and I actually contacted SE Group and said, we would love for you to save your hours this month and not spend them on us, because we might need them. You know, I had a little foresight to, you know, want to save a little bit, and we do have a couple months kind of saved up in the bank. But technically, to use those, we have to change the dates on the contract, and we're not able to do that. So that's the term they use. They use the term, we are out of contract. And still waiting on, now we're still in contract, because I don't believe the contract with East Tennessee Development District is dated, but we're waiting on product from them that we
That's
have
what I
not
wondered.
received.
My next question was any update on how they're doing?
I have not received
Has the
word.
city paid them?
I,
I do not know the answer to that question yet.
so that's two separate negotiations. My understanding, there's a regular monthly payment or annual payment to them. And then initially, I think when we started this, that was a $25,000 contract. I don't believe any payment has been made. Don't quote me on that. I don't think they'd even billed us for anything. But that was previous administration where the city got a new city manager, and I'm sure we'll be looking into that. But when we left that one meeting, I can't remember, last month or month before, they had submitted a document that was 94 pages long. And I had talked with the mayor prior to the meeting, and he didn't feel that that submission that they made was acceptable for us to review. And
Because,
Basically had 6 changes to the document in the entire 90-page document. I mean, I looked at it and reviewed it, and we were gonna go through it and talk about it, and like, nothing to talk about. There's just a document.
yeah,
It was weird.
so the mayor asked me as the chair to not start reviewing that document until he felt it was sufficient enough for us to review, like what we've gone through tonight. We were looking for, it doesn't help us to wade through context and text that we don't know what we're talking about or not familiar with and even the format. So in this was ready for us to review. I don't care to swap around because we all have to review it anyways. And in this particular case with the SE Group, you notice Ida's not on the call tonight explaining this to us. And that's why the co-chair took us through the document, just for that particular reason. So we're hoping, my understanding, that when I talked to Mayor Prater was, I believe, Thursday, he is having a meeting with the head of the SE Group, Mark King, who we initially had met. And that, I would say, the city manager will be involved, and that will be available to us for the next couple of months. Like Co-Chair says, we're ready to bring this home. And then once we get with East Tennessee Development District, I'm still waiting on,
yeah.
and I've texted several times to see that. That's the bulk of that. That's probably what, 90%.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all masking a little bit of frustration with the lack of,
Response.
just the lack of,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Do you think they have anything completed? Like to give it to us so we don't get the whole?
I mean, we got
We
chapter
got through
4.
the- Yeah.
Chapter 4 was done really well, and then the rest of them were a little strange.
But 5 and 6 is, you know, it's those, when you get towards the end, that's the big bulk of
Yeah.
the thing. And we wanted to, what we don't want to do is bring it in here and we don't understand it, and then it creates a lot more conversation that's not necessary. They need to bring us a document that we understand. Question, come to mind.
Thank you. I think you answered one of my questions about the overall community plan.
Yeah.
That's what y'all were talking about, right? Okay, got it. That's a good plan. I like the action of the Parks and Rec. The only other question is, in there, when you talk about collaboration with various groups, where does the visitor center, Townsend Visitor Center fit in? Because I don't know if it was strategic, but it's not specifically mentioned.
The partnership or
The partnership.
The partnership.
Well, you could do both, actually. The other two, that's more, because they have great piece of property. And I've always wondered, you do a lot of stuff, but most of the time it's not used. We go up there walking, all just,
Yeah.
that's the most beautiful park I've ever parked down there.
Mhm.
But, from what you see up there, so, yeah, it would just be great to get more of a partnership with them.
And I believe
And I know
that,
it works both
yeah,
ways.
well, there was initial conversation with, no, thank you. What I can, here's my comment, and any other community members or city manager or commissioner can respond, was in the special event section, when they negotiated, when the mayor negotiated with the partnership about, I guess what's the word I'm looking for, co-chair?
Special event permits.
The permits, taking all the permits into one and that pre-approval, there's supposed to be a series of meetings with them going on that haven't been, just factual that I know of. That is supposedly our communication for working special events with the city, the conversation, city of Townsend, and that, when it's used, when it's not used, event calendars, et cetera. So I know the language exists, I haven't seen or heard of any of that happen just yet. So any other comments from
I think my only comment on that specifically is that technically, as you stated, like the city is supposed to be working in conjunction with them in one way or another, and so it already is happening, kind of. And the second side of it is that these action items were a reflection of what our community suggested, and we didn't hear a ton of feedback about this essentially playing nice. We heard a lot of other feedback, and so I would say that the lack of their name being in here is purposeful, and it's because our consultant did not hear that in real time.
Tom? This makes 100% participation.
This is new for us, guys.
Tonight.
Wow. Guys, how do you feel being one up over here? Look at this. We have 100% participation in here.
Thank you for hearing me. I guess I'm the historian right up here,
Yes, you are.
but I see Parks and Rec, and I look at parks. We have a park, and it was a spinoff, basically, from recreation. Well, how was that? Because when the school, the grammar school, new school was built in sometime in the late 90s, is that right? Okay, they were going to take the sports field, what we call the football field, and put a drip system for the septic. And at that time, the city officials, I was on the planning commission, I think I might have been city council, I don't know, but I know Kenny Myers was involved. And we met with the county school system, and we said, hey, look, we'll step in and help with this septic field. And because at that time, property wasn't that expensive back there, and the city bought what is now the city park. And we bought it, the city bought it for the septic system. And in return, the school board was to keep the sports field as is, but they'd already started nibbling away at it, moving dirt, and they were supposed to put it back like it was, and we were supposed to have 3 Little League ball fields up there. Somehow, part of it, this program fell through the cracks, and it didn't get finished back like it should have. But, and we said, well, the city said, they want to handle this septic until maybe Townsend gets a sewer. And then, well, what are we going to do with what we got there? We got some excess property. So at that time, Gene Mosier passed away in the autumn of automobile accident. She was very well thought of in the community, and so they named it after her, Jean Moser Park.
She served on planning commission, didn't she?
Yeah, not at that time. But she had served in different capacities, yeah. And I think she might have been a commissioner, a city commissioner, I'm not sure. But that's how that came about. And so as I watched a little bit of your presentation there, and it looked like to me that maybe the opportunity should be this recreation end of it should, cooperate with the city. At one time, we had 3 Little League ball teams in this town. 3.
Yeah, I know we had a ball field.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it didn't own the ball field, but we had it there. But that's what I wanted to say here about this recreation end of it. You know, we look at parks.
So there might have been, Don, there might have been an agreement when that was all transferred that.
I don't know whether it was written or not, but I do know Ray LaBounty was a city commissioner, and I don't know his daughter. She lived up on Chesapeake, Ray lived up there. He was an educator, and he went to the Blount County Board of Education, and he argued with them, hey, we need a computer lab out of this. We, Townsend, had the first computer lab in Blount County because he saw that opportunity. So that's just a little history. I thought everybody should know.
Good enough. No, absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll check in with the city manager. Any final comments?
No.
Commissioner, any final comments?
I just wanted to let you all know I did send this draft to our Parks and Rec consultant at Tpac, and she read through it, gave me very little comments back. She said it looked fantastic and gave her stamp of approval on it. Said it looked really good, especially for when we go to apply for grants.
And I do appreciate your time you spent with Ida working through this. I'm sure it was time consuming. All hearts and minds clear. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
All right.
Meeting adjourned. Thanks for coming out.